This week's episode of The Random Show is brought to you by Sonos. Go to sonos.com/random. Hey everybody, welcome to The Random Show, episode number 7, 6, 4, 7.
It's like 10, dude. It's a little later. I think we're about 10.
7, right? I'm Kevin Rose.
I'm Tim Ferriss.
We haven't done this in a while.
It's been a long time.
We say that every time we do a new Random Show, but it's really been a while. It's been about 3 months now, something like that.
A lot has happened.
Yes, so let's spend a few minutes catching up.
Let's.
You go first.
I go
Where you been?
I've been throughout Europe. I was in Amsterdam for a bit for the Next Web, and Queen's Day was also in full effect.
Tell me about Queen's Day.
Tell
everyone about Queen's Day. For
millions of people, all dressed in orange, making a complete mess in the streets. And it's also the one time of year when anyone is allowed to sell their goods in the streets. I think it's the following day. So people will camp out all night long just to get rid of all the stuff that they have, like a huge garage sale in the entire city.
Way.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I spent about a week in Amsterdam, came back. I've been holed up finishing the book, so we can talk about that.
Can we talk about the title, or what is it
we
called?
can talk about the book people know is Becoming Superhuman at the moment. And I just handed in the final chapters last week, so now the editing starts. So beginning next week, I will have quite a few pages to go through, but I'm headed to Turkey tomorrow.
Dude, that's crazy.
And other updates, because I want to get to your updates as well. Just had an exit last week, so Daily Burn had a majority stake acquired, which is very exciting, so congratulations, guys.
Awesome.
That was a big win for them, and I like the fact that the first company that I've been involved with to exit is from Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama.
Nice.
So
explain, people that probably don't know what Exit is. You were an angel investor in this company.
Yeah. So I was an angel investor and an advisor, and when the majority stake was purchased, then I was able to effectively redeem those shares.
So did you sell all of your ownership, or do you still keep some?
AIC bought out everyone.
Oh, cool.
So that is an exit, and it's a really big win for the initial investors out of Huntsville, Alabama, and the founders, the co-founders,
Nice.
Stephen and Andy. So I'm excited for them, and I think they'll do really well with Daily Burn and also the next company. So that's pretty big news.
Cool.
What about yourself? Big moves, Kevin.
Gosh, what has happened? Yeah, oh boy, yeah. So lots happened. Obviously, last time we got together, I was not CEO of Digg.com.
Not that I recall.
So have we talked about that a little bit since?
A little bit.
Yeah. So essentially, I talked about this on Digg Nation, but more or less, it was one of those things where I was presented with an opportunity to step in and step up and try and get the next big version of Digg out the door. And when I went into the company, well, probably most people don't know that my daily involvement with Digg has changed over time. So obviously founded the site about 5 years ago. Was working there full time for about the first, I'd say, 3.5 years, something like that. I'd say about the last year and a half or so is when we brought in a VP of product, and I started doing a lot of angel investing, my Digg Nation podcast, a bunch of other stuff. So my daily involvement was not as much as it once had been. And part of the reason for that, I think, was just that we never really were able to get new product out the door, and it was really frustrating for me. Just to be honest, I think that we were on this backend, this MySQL backend that just couldn't scale with the site, and to launch anything new was just it was a nightmare. And so finally, we are going to launch a new version of Digg. It's going to be on a Cassandra backend, which is one of those NoSQL database, new types of databases that will hopefully scale much easier than MySQL. And when the board and Jay, the CEO, the last CEO, sat down with me. They were like, what would you like to do with Digg? This is kind of your baby. We want you re-involved and re-engaged in the company from a product standpoint. So when I came in, it was really a matter of sitting down and looking over all the stuff that we had planned to launch and paring it down to just 3 to 5 really core things that I felt as though we could do really well. And the problem is that it's really easy in a large organization, and by large I mean, Digg's 95 plus people now, 90 people, that it's really easy for there to be a lot of scope creep. So everyone has a lot of ideas around features and wouldn't this be cool, and the answer is, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that would be cool, but you have to get something out, especially on a site that no new product has shipped in the last couple of years, you know? And so this first launch that you'll see here, we'll go alpha in probably, under a month or so, will be a lot of the like, oh wow, Digg should have done this a while ago, but a lot of low-hanging fruit that we feel is just necessary. I don't want to disclose any features right now, but like simple stuff, like if you dig something, all of your followers see it, like stuff like that, where it's just like, wow, this is something that should have been launched on the site a year plus ago, right? So we'll get that out. We'll get out the 3 to 5 really core features that we want to do, and then from there we're going to do weekly releases. So it might not be new things changing on the website, but we have these things called trains internally that run, which are groups of engineers working on different trains, and every week a new push happens to the site, and your code either makes it in or it doesn't make it in, right? But it'll mostly be like back-end changes and little tweaks here and there, but something will ship every single week. And so that's a new process for us.
Cool.
And it's exciting because finally I feel as though, for me, the way I look at it is that Digg really has the chance to go one of two directions. It could either be, one of these big web properties that just kind of sits there and it is what it is, and it really doesn't do. It's just a big site. Like, let me give some examples. Like a Six Apart, where you look at Six Apart and you're like, wow, that's a big blogging company, right? And they have a bunch of employees, like 200 plus employees in San Francisco, but they really aren't considered to be like, innovative, or they're not really the hot new company, right? So, Digg is doing 30 plus million people a month. I mean, it's a top 50 web property. We're in the double digits of millions of dollars in revenue per year. It's fine. It could sit there and do that for a long time. But that doesn't really interest me. Like, I wouldn't want to rejoin the company full on as CEO if that's what I wanted to do, because anyone can do that, right? That's just a matter of like doing maintenance on a site. So for me, it's like I feel as though we could go that path, and no slam against Six Apart. There's a lot of sites that are in that very similar situation, but I feel as though, Digg has a chance with some of the features and some of the different directions that we want to take things. Like, we've got an amazing iPad app that'll be coming out in a few months that I think is going to be way different than what most people expect. Not the classic Digg experience. We've got some bigger features that are just like new for Digg that I think will finally get us back to where at least people look at us and say like, wow, that's pretty innovative,
Well, I would imagine doing weekly pushes out to the site would also be really good for the morale of the company.
Oh, absolutely, involved. No doubt, and that's been a big, before, when I was just running product at Digg back in the day, I didn't have to deal with all these employee issues, and it's a nightmare. I mean, it's like me coming in is like a matter of. I won't say a nightmare, but it's a challenge, and I'm learning a lot.
What have you learned? What are the things that have been most valuable for you to learn, do you think, since you've stepped into that role?
Well, it's really hard to keep 90 people on the same page as to what's going on in the company, because not everyone is involved in every meeting, right? So you have different groups within the organization, from ops to engineering to finance to sales, that all need to be up to speed with what the company is doing, right? So it's a matter of like, a CEO's job is like one of a cheerleader, where you're constantly going in, checking with people, making sure everyone's like on the same page. Another is a visionary, so you're standing up there doing these all-hand meetings, in front of 90 plus people, saying like, this is what we're marching towards, this is why we matter. And then also working on the product. So I work like very closely with design. So big part of my job is just, working on these features and making sure that we take all these ideas and distill them down into something that we can actually build. So everybody has ideas. Some of them really suck, and you just throw those away. Some of them are okay, and you maybe table them. They need to be vetted out a little bit more. And then some of them are really good, and out of that group of really good ones, you just pick a handful and just march forward with those.
Cool.
It's a lot of work. I'm working harder now than I have in years, but it feels really good. Like, for the first time, I'm like, I feel as though I'm stressed, and it's like I don't have as much free time. Like, I get home at night and I'm like constantly on my laptop, and before I was able to like play with other projects and do angel investments and stuff like that. And it's like that stuff's weekend work for me now if I have the time. So Yeah,
But it's a good stress. I mean, you're growing a lot, it sounds like.
No, absolutely.
From other conversations we've had as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the last couple weeks, so I've been CEO of the company now for about a month, and we are looking for a replacement CEO. So I'm not going to stay that guy long.
I have a lot of free time.
You want to take over? Dude, it's honestly, we'll get into this when we talk about the book recommendation that I have for today, but yeah, we'll get into this a little bit later.
So there's also one other big addition to the show, in that we have a sponsor.
Yes.
And maybe you'd like to make the introduction?
Yeah, totally. So this week we are sponsored for the first time, and actually we're both really stoked that this is our sponsor. Sonos is sponsoring the show.
Yeah.
And the reason I know I'm personally stoked is that it's always, having done Diggnation for so many years and having all these different sponsors, I would say that 75% of the sponsors we've had in Diggnation, I've been like, wow, that's cool. I would actually use their products, right? GoDaddy, I use them to register my domains, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Sonos is one that I've been telling people about regardless of them sponsoring anything we've ever done, because I actually had my friend Adam come over to my house the other day, yesterday, because he had Airport Express and he was like losing his audio between his rooms. You know how, I don't know if that's what I used before. That's what this tea is like drying my throat out.
I just had a squeeze box.
Yeah, you want some water?
You had a juice box? I thought you had a little juice box before.
Squeeze box.
What?
Logitech.
Okay.
But it was limited to one room. So actually, if you remember, flashback in our first or second random episode,
we talked about
it.
Yeah, we did.
But the difference is, one of the big differences is, at least a lot of the products have changed. So I mean, I remember I got a little jealous because Kevin had the S5, which was the wireless.
I love
edition,
that thing.
which I now have. So I'll be doing a giveaway. I'll be giving away my older version, which works perfectly fine with two speakers, but pretty psyched that we were able to actually find a sponsor who gelled with stuff we were already doing.
Yeah, and I'll say, I've been using Sonos now for about, I'd say, a year and a half.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
And I've gotten to the point where I have Sonos in almost every room in my house.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, most people, it's funny, and I love talking frankly about this stuff, because most people, they look at it and they're like, wow, that's really expensive for me to get into that system. But it's one of those things where you add one room, and you start with 1 or 2 rooms, and then you grow into it, over time. And you realize that the thing I really like is that they do these firmware updates where you don't have to go out and check for new firmware. It finds it, but then it starts flashing them wirelessly.
Right.
So it updates every base station wirelessly. And dude, never any audio problems. Streams all of my music. Works flawlessly with Pandora, which I use all the time.
Yeah, so I use Pandora and Rhapsody probably these days. So make all the 4-hour workweek jokes you want. This is your cue. Whenever I'm writing, I would say 4 to 5 hours a day. These days at least tends to be late night or first thing in the morning, and it's always on the Sonos. Either that or with the headphones, depending.
I use it to wake myself up. I set the alarm to go in the bathroom, and then it turns.
I've never even used the alarm.
It turns on your music for you in your bathroom, so you get up, you're showering to like Snoop Dogg and shit. It's awesome.
So you're face down, and you're on vomit in the bathroom, and you wake right up.
What?
Wait, why are you waking up in the bathroom?
No, you just hear the music playing in the other room.
Oh, all right. I'm just checking. So, in any case,
because it's nice to shower with music, dude.
All right,
done that?
Understood. I agree. All right, so why don't you tell us about some of your favorites? I guess we've narrowed it down to book, person, website.
Yeah, so book, person, website. We did this last time. We wanted to do it again this time. My book this week is Rework. It is done by the folks over at 37 Signals. Mm-hmm. Jason Fried.
Yeah.
And I don't know him personally, although I'd like to meet him. I'm actually going out to Chicago, and they're based out of Chicago, so I think I'm going to actually meet up for him with a tea or coffee or something. And this was an amazing book. You know what? It's funny because, oftentimes we'll do speaking engagements, and you get Q&A session. Mm-hmm. And people always ask you, new entrepreneur questions, well, how do you raise money? What's it like growing your team? Mm-hmm. What are some of the challenges with, scaling from this to that, And you get the same questions over and over. And I feel as though I always was thinking, remember when I was thinking about writing a book? Mm-hmm. It was going to be along the lines of how to distill all that information and knowledge I've gotten over the last 5 years into something that people could read.
Sorry, dude. I'm just laughing because your book was announced even though you didn't sell it.
I didn't sign the deal and they announced it.
It's all right.
Anyway, I'm not writing a book. I was talking with a publisher about writing a book, and they freaking announced it, even though I hadn't signed a deal.
I sent him the email. I was like, wow, amazing. Congratulations.
Anyway.
Okay, continue.
So, I know. I mean, the deal was offered to me, so it wasn't like I didn't get the deal. Like, they gave me a deal, I just didn't take it. I just don't have enough time right now. Anyway, long story short, I read this book, and I'm like, this is why I don't have to write a book. Because the information in that book is awesome. Like, it's all, I was like, damn, if I only read this 5 years ago, or this had been out 5 years ago. And what he really pushes for is a smaller company.
Yeah.
10 to 15 employees max, and he always challenges you, do you need that extra person?
Yeah.
Do you need the extra feature in your software?
Yeah.
Like, do you, all of the different challenges he offers throughout the book, I think, are insanely valuable. It was a great read from start to finish. I just really enjoyed it. And all those tips are the same tips that I recommend during the talk. So just buy this book and read it. And you also read it.
It's a good book. Yeah, I read it. I did a blog post with them as well because I've spent time. I've spent a little bit of time with Jason. I've spent a little bit more time with David, DHH, in person. But very clean, lean organization, and I like the focus on just enough. Doing enough to reach the objectives while not adding bloat.
Absolutely.
Not adding drag.
Yeah.
And
do you need this meeting? Do you absolutely need this many people in the meeting? I mean, everything is challenged. Do you need to raise funding? Do you need angel money? Can you do it on your own? Can you bootstrap it? Great.
So it's really easy read. I haven't been reading all too much because I've been so focused on writing. But one book that I have been spending a decent amount of time checking out is called How to Break a Terrorist. And it's actually about how al-Zarqawi, who was the head of Al-Qaeda in Iraq, was ultimately found. And it walks through how two interrogators, this is post Abu Ghraib, used interrogation and all various types of mind games and so forth to actually get the information that led to finding this guy. And it's really fascinating. And it's less about coercion and torture because those weren't the tools, at least according to the book, that these two people used, but really just how they built rapport with this person to the extent that ultimately they tracked down al-Zarqawi's, if I'm even pronouncing that correctly, spiritual advisor who then led them to the hideout. Pretty fascinating stuff.
Crazy.
And there are parts of the book, I thought this was kind of cool, that are blacked out based on, I think it was the Department of Justice, or might have been Homeland Security had approval over the editorial, so there are bits that are blocked out for that purpose. But really, really fascinating book. So, person. My person of the week to check out and follow and keep tabs on is Philip Rosedale. Cool guy.
And Philip is the creator of Second Life. He lives in San Francisco, and I had the great pleasure of having lunch with him last week. I had met him a couple times before at various different events in the city, and it's always a blast to hang out with this guy. He's one of these guys where you sit down, you start talking to him, and you realize he's a genius, and he's like such a forward-thinking guy. Like the things that he's creating now. So he's no longer at Second Life, and he's working on something called Love Machine, and we're actually using it at Digg. It's really cool. So check out the website. It's lovemachineinc.com, and essentially what it is it's a system that allows you to send praise to other employees. So it's employee to employee praise, and it broadcasts the praise on a display in your office. So you put up like this big display, like a flat screen monitor. Like we have one in when you walk into where all the developers hang out, and it will say like, Kevin sent love to this person, and it'll say why, like for setting this up or achieving this in this certain date, right? So all these employees are sending love to each other, like helping them out, right? And then what you do is at the end of, after a year's gone by, you print out all the love for your employees as a manager, and you can take that and you can look down the love that all these other employees and base your raises on that love. So you would look down and be like, well, it looks like your peers said that you did a really good job here, you did a good job here, blah, blah, blah. And it's not so much the love that you base the raise on, but it's almost like the lack of love in some cases. Right, so if some person isn't getting any love whatsoever, no one's like rewarding them in any way, it's just a new experiment is what it is. I won't say, because a lot of people are like, well, it might not work if someone cheats. Well, there's a lot of little loopholes and stuff, but it's a fun experiment, and it's really cool because then he does like word maps out of it where it shows you like what people are really working on, because you'll see certain keywords like blow up and be larger than other keywords. He does really interesting things where we're going to take like $5,000 and we're going to throw it into a bonus every month, and then you'll log into the Love Machine and you'll get 500 points, and you'll distribute points anonymously among all the people in the company that you think it really helped you out or they're making a difference, and then the points convert into dollars. And so cool. At the end of that bonus, rather than just like giving someone $3,000 or whatever, just gets spread out to all the different employees based on who's really doing the work.
That's cool.
It's really awesome.
A good idea. I like the last implication. That's really cool.
And the way that he's developing it is unlike anything I've ever seen. So he has this whole back-end system to develop and write code for the Love Machine, where he is basically created like a real-time ELANCE, where he can go out and bid out sections of the site to be developed, and developers will go and take a chunk of code, and he'll say like, okay, I'm going to pay $100 to have this feature added. Someone takes that ownership of that $100 piece of code, and then he pays like someone to QA and check it. And so he'll pay like that person $25 to QA and check it. And so there's multiple layers of automated checking. And so like he doesn't have to do anything. He'll be like, it's insane. He's automated everything. And it's all tied to a chat room, and it's all commented out. And then we gotta have him on the show or something to talk about. It's something worth checking out.
He also has very cool pants. So we spent some time together with a number of other friends brainstorming a few things, and I couldn't quite pin down what was strange about his pants, and I was like, what? Something's funny with those pants. I like those pants. And he goes, yeah, they're quarter rounds. So instead of corduroys, where the creases run top to bottom, yeah, quarter rounds go around the leg horizontally. I couldn't pin it down. They're a little unusual.
Dude, will you guys stop buying stupid shit like this? You and Glenn, dude. You laughed like you wanted some.
Well, of course you do. Not everyone can only wear black and gray all day. Come on now,
dude. This is gray.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You're like a goth girl, but with a baseball cap.
Thank you. I do wear a lot of black.
But anyway, quarter rounds. If you want if you want to check out some unusual pants.
What if I slowly started putting like mascara on and shit? You'd be like
Lady Gaga style.
Pretty much.
I could not pull that off.
How do I change the lock settings? Oh, keep going. So go on to your next thing. Sorry.
Go on to your next thing.
I'm just saying like...
So in terms of people, I've been somewhat isolated for the last bit, doing a lot of writing, but I did have a chance to meet up with a person I respect quite a lot. This is the second time I've met up with him, Nassim Taleb. So Nassim Nicholas Taleb, author of Fooled by Randomness and The Black Swan. And Nassim is a very astute, logical thinker, and he's very good at pointing out logical fallacies, just common mistakes that people make in logic with, in some cases, very, very expensive, catastrophic consequences. So he's always, in his investment philosophy, he runs a number of funds, or at least one fund, where he's hedging against black swan events. So like the economic meltdown that we had in the last few years, Lehman Brothers. Last time I had dinner with him is when Lehman Brothers collapsed. And that was, needless to say, a very big payday for him, because he protects his clients against those types of completely unexpected, hugely impactful events like that. And what that means, though, is that...
So he just buys gold?
No. Well, what he does, is that your approach?
I mean, that's what happens. Every time any of these markets collapse, gold goes up.
Well, yeah, and then you buy gold and gold collapses. But
I agree.
But so what he's very good at, I mean, his investment strategy aside, born in Lebanon, Black Swan, I think, should be required reading for people who want to improve their critical thinking skills. He's very strong-willed, very intelligent, very opinionated. That doesn't particularly bother me. I like people with clear opinions if they have very strong arguments to back them up. And I have not read Fooled by Randomness, but I think that The Black Swan is a fantastic book. It is a bit dense. It can take some time to get through, but very, very good at sharpening your thinking for just about anything else you'd want to do. So, NN Taleb, that's his Twitter handle. NNTALEB, really fantastic aphorisms And
It's my old cat.
fantastic tweets. So tell us about this creature on your shoulder.
This is my old cat, Kittle. She's actually been renamed ever since Glenn got her. Now she's named Chloe. But yeah, so Glenn's been watching her. If anybody remembers back in Diggnation back in the day.
Watching her?
I mean, she used to be on the show back in the day.
No, I know, but I don't watch her. She's like my...
Oh yeah, that's right. She's Glenn's cat.
I've been keeping an eye on her for the last few years.
that makes me feel
I'm actually taking her back.
Now that I have more time, I'll be reclaiming her. So
Thanks for watching her for the last 2 years.
I'd like her back now.
So websites.
Yes, websites. On Philip, you can follow him at philiplinden.com. Sorry, I forgot that. So websites, Evernote.com.
Cool.
Evernote.com. I'm getting into this. Evernote, I didn't get it first. You know, when I first started using Evernote, I was just like, why would anybody use this? And then it all came together for me, especially with the iPad app.
Yeah.
So for people that have never used Evernote, I'll give you the 30-second overview. Basically, it allows you to clip and save anything you want in your life. And it converts everything that it finds that is text, it OCRs it and converts it so that it's searchable. So if you go out and you have a nice dinner and you see a bottle of wine and you take a picture of the bottle of wine with your iPhone, the Evernote application, you upload that picture to Evernote. It'll convert all the text on the front of that wine label so that later, if I'm like, oh, what was that Merlot that I had? It was really good. Type in Merlot into Evernote, boom, the label comes up so I can find it. It'll do the same thing for anything on the web. So when you install it as the Mac software, it gives you a little Evernote icon in the upper right-hand corner. You select it, and then you can drag out areas that you want to capture. So it creates screenshots of that. And it's funny because I was bookmarking things for the longest time.
Yeah.
Like I was going in and bookmarking like stuff like on Delicious, and that's how I would save things. But then the thing I realized that sucks about that is the text changes.
Yeah.
A web page will go away. A website will change the text altogether, like move it someplace else, and it doesn't really archive it and save it. So this goes in and saves all that, and you can actually go on a Mac and say print to PDF on a page, so it will take the entire page and then save it out to Evernote, which is cool. And then the thing that really tied it all together is that I bought a scanner that's on Evernote's website.
Yeah.
And there's these scanners now that will do, like this one does 25 pages per minute or per 30 seconds or something. It's really fast. Yeah. 50 pages a minute, something like that.
You said 25 pages per second earlier, which is very fast.
I made that mistake before to somebody else too. So what's cool is like you'll have something come in, let's just say it's like something that you want to archive. You can pretty much go completely paperless.
Or tax documents, anything.
Tax documents, anything you want. And if you pay for the upgraded version, which I did, you get secure login, all that kind of stuff. I would pay for it anyway because I think it's once you start using it, it's just a good service to use. So like I have on my iPad here, I'll give you an example of a note here. So like if I go into tags, here's like some fish flies that I purchased when I was out fly fishing. And so I just took a picture with my iPhone, and then this one's called the Hare's Ear 18. And so now this is saved forever, and anytime I type in like hares or ear or 18, it's going to come up so I can remember exactly what those flies were, right? And I took this with my iPhone. And then you can also add tags, so you can tag a bunch of different. So I tag this fishing, so if I type in fishing, it'll come up as well. So it's just a really cool way to save and archive things over time. I've started to use it a lot for design things, because they'll be like, oh, I like the way that button looks, or I like the way they use a rounded corner here, or the way that this sign-up form was really awesome, you know? And like certain things like that you want to remember for later when you use them on your own projects. Right. And so I'll just go, boom, copy, or cut, like capture the screen, tag design, tag likes, or whatever you want. You're an advisor and investor, so you're kind of, well, you're not partial, but you used it.
No, I mean, so as full disclosure, I did not coerce Kevin into talking about it. In the beginning, though, I had the exact same experience where I just didn't get it, and I was just like, it's a Swiss Army knife of applications. I have no idea how to use this. And then I remember I met up with Phil, the CEO, at a coffee shop. And I said, well, how good is the text recognition really? And so he took out his iPhone, he took a shot of the menu for the coffee shop, which was like 20 feet away. And then like however long it was, a minute later, he was like, okay, let's search something on the menu. And I was like, wow, okay. That's very, very interesting to me.
You know what's funny is it wasn't as good as it is now.
No, it's
because
much
I
better now.
used it like a year and a half
Yeah.
ago, and I remember
And that's when it was early days.
Yeah, I remember taking pictures of stuff that wouldn't kind of recognize it properly. Now it's like
much
flawless.
improved. So yeah, obviously I'm an advisor to Evernote, so take it the way you will. But the only reason I'm an advisor is because I really fell in love with the product. In terms of websites, mine is going to be, I don't have any demo for you because I don't have an iPad. I may get one at some point. Is Live Mocha. So livemocha.com, mocha.com, is a language learning website with about 5 million members, and you can get language lessons with native speakers and practice with native speakers. So I've been playing around with Turkish for that. And I've also been using a few other things, specifically Pimsleur, which is the best that I can find at the moment. So Pimsleur audio CDs, which are actually quite good. I did experiment with Rosetta Stone. I get a lot of questions about Rosetta Stone. In general, I'm not a fan. I think that Rosetta Stone is designed so that they can pump out many, many languages, and they use the excuse or rationale. It's an excuse. It's a marketing pitch, which is that you want to learn to think in the language, therefore we're not going to use any English. No, in reality, it's just like Berlitz. And I used to consult for Berlitz. You can just produce more materials, more programs extremely quickly if you don't use any English in any translation. So in any case, I actually played with the Rosetta Stone. If you take, I think it's 3 months for level 1, you learn present, I think you just learn present tense. You don't even learn past tense. So it's a very limited use. And I was actually in an airport and I started playing around. I jumped directly to level, I think it was level 3. And just by, I guess it would be deductive logic, you can actually start to learn quite a bit by going through it. But it's not nearly as effective as using, in my experience, Pimsleur plus Phrasebook from Lonely Planet. What Lonely Planet tends to do, I don't know if they always do this, but they provide the Turkish in the Turkish script. I mean, it's Romanized, and then they have the literal translation word by word, and then they have the English translation, and it's that middle layer that's really important so that you can understand the sentence structure. And for me, what's been very useful is playing around with Live Mocha and a few other things, is realizing, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I like languages, is that Turkish is very similar to Japanese. Isn't that weird? It's no connection that I can really pinpoint. I think it originated in Mongolia, but the sentence structure is very, very similar. And then there's noun cases like in German. So in any case, we'll see how I hold up. I'll be landing in Istanbul in about 24 hours. So that would be, I suppose, the website that I would recommend people check out is Live Mocha. Very, very cool.
Sweet. And how much does it cost?
I think that there are a number of different plans like any other website. I'm not sure what the top line is, but you can play around with it and get a pretty good feel for free. So you don't have to immediately drop a dime. You can check it out. Edufire is another one, EDUFIRE. So here we are.
Yes, I think that's it, right?
Is that it?
Are we done? I don't know if I had anything else to talk about. Do you have anything to talk about? I'm petting my cat because I'm going to take her home here in a few minutes. Glenn's been traveling around too.
I've been traveling full.
Yeah, you have been.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Fun.
He's doing Tony Hsieh's book tour. From
You doing the whole tour?
We talked about that book.
You are. Oh, that's right. So you're headed to New York for the Delivering Happiness launch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be in Turkey for that.
And then 2 months on a bus.
That's crazy.
2 months on a bus.
Cruise around. A nice bus.
Cool. Well,
I think that's it.
another good episode.
Yep. Once you get back from Turkey, let's get together and do another one of these.
We will. Thanks to Sonos for jumping into the fray.
Absolutely.
Sonos.com/random.
Oh, yes. We didn't mention the URL, did we, before?
No.
We will at the top of the show.
We will at the top of the show, and we'll overlay it.
Cool.
I think that's it. Meow.
See you guys.
See ya.
Meow.